Hello babes, welcome back to the channel. If you are new, welcome. So in today's video we are going to be talking about the hot mess that is Miss Lynn from Girlfriends. So let's get into it. Now I do have a bit of a cold that I'm getting over because this New York weather, if you're from New York, you already know that our weather is up and down. One day it's summertime, the next day it's winter. So I do sound a little bit congested, but I had to get this video out. So let's get into the character that is Lynn, played by the beautiful Persia White. So Lynn is introduced to us as the free-spirited woman who has attained multiple degrees and has a thirst for knowledge. I remember the first time hearing about veganism was from Lynn. She was intelligent and a free thinker. Lynn was often the neutral friend who would stay out of drama for the most part. However, Miss Lynn was one of the biggest leeches on TV who was entitled and felt like her friends owed her something. The fact that this woman believed in her big grown age that her friends, not family, but her friends owed her something was asinine. There was absolutely no excuse as to why she didn't have her stuff together. You went to school and obtained your degrees, but when it came to actually working and grinding, she just didn't have it in her. And I know there are some people out there who love school and love going to school and learning. And when it comes to working or finding out what their passion is, they can't figure it out. However, while they're figuring out what their passion is, they know that they have to work. Lynn acted like a child who couldn't get off the tit, as Tony would say.
I cannot believe you're kicking me out in the middle of my anthropology final.
Okay, I'm gonna say this in the most loving way. Get off the tit, Lynn, and get out!
She was a freeloader who had no regards for others. She was completely selfish and irresponsible. And I remember as a child just being so annoyed at the fact that a grown woman would try to constantly guilt her friends into taking care of her. But what made me really dislike Lynn was when her parents came to visit to tell her that they were finally going to retire and open up a bed and breakfast, which was her mother's dream. However, they were denied by the bank because of her delinquent loan.
We were going to buy a place, but we were denied by the bank because our credit report said that we were in default on a loan.
Whoa, what a bummer. That's why you really got to keep up on those things.
Noodle, the loan is your grad school loan, the one that you promised us you would pay.
Oh, look, I didn't even know that I was in default on a loan. No one ever told me.
And that she had to pay them back. She had the nerve to have an attitude, rolling her eyes, and then had the audacity to ask her father could he help her out, after they just told her they couldn't open up their bed and breakfast because of her.
You never got any calls telling you were delinquent?
Yeah, but I mean, if I'd have known it was going to hurt you guys, I would have sent him $5 or something.
Didn't we do enough? Paying for 4 years of college and 2 master's degrees? No, you had to go out and run up a tab for 2 more degrees you don't use.
Yes.
No, Ed, she is costing us our dream. It is time for you to get off the tit, get a real job, and pay back that loan like you promised so we can get our good credit back. Lynn, it is time for you to stand on your own 2 feet finally, get a job, and pay back that loan like you promised.
Why don't you take the wings? Take them already. Fly.
Come on, Daddy. Can't you help me out here? The littlest one, the adopted child, victim of George Bush and a bad economy.
She was a spoiled brat, and her parents definitely played a part in that. They gave her almost everything she wanted as a child, which I think they tried to make up for her being adopted and to make her feel special, but what they did was turn her into an entitled brat who felt like everyone owed her something simply for existing. Now, I'm one of those people that don't believe in making your child struggle just because you struggled or you came from a family that struggled growing up. However, I do think that there needs to be limits. When you give a child everything that they want and always praise them, when they get older, they have a lot of narcissistic tendencies like selfishness, gaslighting, and believing their feelings matter more than others. So at the end of season 1, Lynn meets a random man in Jamaica and decides she's going to live there with him. First off, girl, you don't know this man. He is a literal stranger, and this is not safe.
Danger!
However, after figuring out that won't work out, Lynn decides to bring Bosco the bum back with her to the States and move back in with Joan. Joan, why didn't you change your locks? I need to know, Joan, why didn't you change the locks?
I wanna know.
And she brings this man to stay in her home, again, a complete stranger, a man who you know nothing about, and just decide to put everyone in harm's way because this man could have been unhinged, and because you want to live recklessly. She moves him into Joan's home without her knowledge, and while Joan is going to her kitchen in the middle of the night, while being topless, she bumps into this man lollygagging in her kitchen.
Oh my God! Oh, don't kill me!
And I know it's a funny moment in the show, but that would be terrifying for any woman to bump into a man wandering in their kitchen late at night. But what's more, she doesn't even apologize and thinks about the fact that she has made her friend uncomfortable. Instead, she makes excuses and tries to give her some form of ultimatum that if he has to go, then she's going to leave too.
Fine. If he can't stay, then I'm leaving too.
Okay. Joan!
No.
No!
Yes.
Lynn!
Now.
Damn.
And Joan was like, Lynn was a character on this show who had absolutely no growth. She was constantly using her friends for a place to stay. She never could keep a job and switched career paths on multiple occasions and would complain about capitalism. Which, okay, I'll give you that. But you want to stay in your friends' homes and pockets who have what you consider to be capitalist jobs. You don't have a problem with capitalism when your friends are paying for you to eat and drink and stay in their homes. But when it's time for you, a grown adult, to get off your behind and stop living off of people and actually make something of yourself, then it's, I hate capitalism. You are in the United States of America. That is not going to change, and going on tangents and rants about it won't do anything. Yes, we know we live in a capitalist country. However, that's just not going to change. I just don't understand how Lynn had 5 degrees and didn't make use of them. I feel like her being a filmmaker was her calling, and I don't know why the writers didn't just stick to that. Her character just got really boring and repetitive over time, and I've realized I just don't like the show as much as I did when I was younger. However, there are a few things we can learn from each character, but I just don't like Girlfriends as much as I used to like it when I was younger. A lot of the thinking is toxic, the friend group is toxic, so I am just not a fan of Girlfriends as I once was in my younger years. Lynn took advantage anytime she could when it came to any of her friends, but what pissed me off most with her was her moving in with Maya, who was a single mother and struggled, and Lynn had the audacity to add to her burden. How do you feel so content in your big age to move in with a woman you know is struggling and has her own child to take care of? Now, I do know Lynn felt lost and like she didn't belong because of her not knowing her birth parents and where she was supposed to be in life, but that was no excuse for her to move how she did. She was just beyond lazy. Everyone in this friend group had their own struggles, but they didn't expect handouts from family, friends, and strangers, or at least not like Lynn did. Now, while Maya may have stayed with Joan and took advantage at some points, she did move out and get herself together, writing a book and becoming a bestseller. Tony was a real estate agent who may have struggled at some point in her career, but again, she dug herself out of that. Joan decided she didn't want to practice law anymore, but opened up her own restaurant. Lynn was the only one out of this friend group who just couldn't get her act together. Like, okay, you don't want to be a slave working and hating your job, and that's understandable. But if she didn't have William, Joan, Tony, or Maya, what would she do? She would have no choice but to put her big girl panties on and get a job. The fact that anywhere she moved into made her feel as though she had a right to take over and that she never had to leave was beyond entitled. Like her staying at Williams, taking over his backyard, sleeping on the roof of his car. What adult acts like this? And I'm sorry, friend or not, she would have gotten out of my house. I am not your parent. I don't owe you anything. It's different if you're someone who is just down for a small amount of time, down on your luck, but this was just Lynn 24/7. Crashing the seminar that Tony, Joan, and Maya had and having the nerve to have an attitude that she wasn't on the panel. Now, I am not the biggest Maya fan, but Lynn deserved every word of what Maya said.
Why don't you tell me how I should introduce you? As a documentary filmmaker? Oh, wait, I'm sorry, girl, my bad. You quit that. How about ripping off Japanese tourists with fake Hollywood tours? Oh gosh, Miss Searcy, got any tips on how to crack that film? What about music? You still married to it, or did you get divorced?
So what are you saying? I'm just a joke? Yeah. You're a joke that's not funny anymore.
She was coddled her whole entire life because of people feeling sorry for her. There are people who didn't get adopted after being given up by their parents and grew up in horrible conditions, and they found a way to become successful. But Lynn was always making excuses, complaining, and being an outright lazy bum. How is it that you want to be a part of a panel when you have nothing to add? These women were successful and were giving advice to women on how they could succeed. Maya asked them to be a part of her panel because of their success. Crashing her seminar, something that Maya worked hard for, and stating she had 5 degrees.
Lynn Searcy, 5 master's degrees at UCLA. In order to answer your question...
Okay, you had 5 degrees and did nothing with any one of them. So making that statement was purposeless. You had absolutely nothing to add to the panel because you weren't stable financially. That episode always pissed me off because how dare you?
The audacity! The unmitigated gall!
Talking about she was successful. How delusional do you have to be? Maya was honestly nicer than I would have been, because for you to go out of your way to try and sabotage something that I worked so hard for because of your entitlement and thinking that people have to hold your hand and baby you as a grown woman was out of pocket. It's different if she had a success story and said, hey, I worked all of these different places and was trying to figure out what I wanted to do and had these obstacles, but I found my passion. No, Lynn was just a leech. She stole from her friends, opened up credit cards in their names, just treacherous behavior, but was taking care of this grown adult man who had no job and refused to work.
Girl, please put your shoes on. Let's go find you a home.
From her being with Bosco, she should have learned how her friends felt about her ways. And Joan also enabled this behavior because there is no way she would have lived in my home for 8 years.
But it's better for you to go home than not have luggage.
Joan basically had an adult child named Lynn because she housed, clothed, and fed her. Baby, if I was Joan, she would have gotten the Angela Bassett treatment.
Get your shit! Get your shit! And get out!
I think Lynn was a person who was in a state of arrested development. She never matured. She consistently acted like a child.
I don't want to grow up. I want to grow up. I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid.
Making childish decisions and living recklessly as though she was still a teenager, behaving immaturely. Now, like I said before, I don't think she had to have everything all figured out, but the bare minimum she needed to have a handle on was her finances and financial state. She wasn't someone who just graduated out of high school. She was in her late 20s, early 30s, and was still lost. And I don't believe that you can't go after your dreams regardless of age and find your passion, but while you're doing that, you have to work, you have to pay rent, eat, and clothe yourself. And Lynn just couldn't get it together.
I should probably let you know before the bill comes. I only have $3 on me.
Why didn't you say something before you ordered a $12 salad?
Because then I wouldn't be eating a $12 salad. Hello?
And with that being said, this video has come to an end. I will catch you guys in the next video. Don't forget to comment, like, share, and subscribe. Liking helps with the algorithm. And I will catch you guys in the next video.